Yeah, I'm telling you how to do something that I said I'd never do. How to bypass a safety switch. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. Hope everybody's having a great week. Yes, I'm doing something I said I never would. I am telling you how to bypass the safety switch. But I don't think it's that bad because it's not something that can cause you personal injury, just your machine. But before we jump into today's video, if you're a fan of saving time, money, and frustration while fixing your own small engine equipment while watching in-depth tutorials, you've come to the right place because that's what I do. I upload a couple times a week, and if that sounds interesting, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I will reply to all the early commenters. Now, I'm only doing this because it could be an emergency. You could be searching YouTube right now, figuring out why your generator won't start, and this could definitely be the problem. And I'd hate for it to be the middle of the night, you need power, and you have no one to turn to and no idea what to do. Now, 99% of the time when a customer brings their unit into the shop and they tell me they have no fire, it does have fire. It's just they think that it's not starting because it has no spark, but actually it's always usually a gas-related issue. Now, on generators, yeah, they sit for a long period of time and they do have lots of gas-related issues, but at the same time, they lose fire. Now, this has nothing to do with the ignition module, actually. What it does have to do with is generator manufacturers started a long time putting oil sensor switches on them. Why do they do that? It's a safety for the machine itself. If you let it sit for a long period of time, you might forget that you've serviced it. You're not checking the oil. It runs for a long period of time. It might be using a little bit of oil and it can burn the machine up if it runs out of oil. So the manufacturers put oil sensor switches on these machines to where it actually knows if the unit has not enough oil or too much oil in it, and it will kill the engine. So we see this a lot of times when customers have changed their own oil and maybe put a little bit too much or not enough, and they have no fire and it won't start. And that could just be a simple fix of making sure that you have the right oil level. But sometimes it doesn't matter if you have the correct oil level. These switches are notorious for just going out. So I ain't gonna leave you stranded. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to bypass that safety switch to get your generator going again to save you time, money, and frustration in the future. So you're out of power, your generator won't start, you know you got fresh fuel, you know it's ran recently, there's no reason that it shouldn't start, you go and you check for fire and it has none. Also, I get a lot of people asking me about my spark tester. I leave a link to it in the description box below along with all the other tools that I use, so check those out if you want to. Next step, if you have no fire, you'll go ahead and you'll pull the kill wire from your coil maybe and check it that way. If you still don't have any fire, then you know you have a coil issue, but the majority of the time, the coil's fine. It's usually an electrical issue like with the wiring or your oil sensor switch with these. Now, although your generator might be completely different, if you have an oil sensor switch, the principles are pretty much the same for all of them. So I have a Honda GX390 on my generator. Now this is going to be pretty much the same for all Hondas and the Chonda engines, the ones we see mostly come into the shop. They're the Chinese Honda knockoff engines. You'll look on the side of the engine block and you will see something like this. It looks like a nut holding in your oil sensor. It has a wire coming out of it. All you'll do is follow it up until you see where it's connected to another wire and you will just unhook it. That bypasses your oil safety switch and you should have fire again. So I'll just unplug my switch like that and show you it still starts fine. Now, although the one that I showed you is probably the most common one that you're going to run into, and hopefully it's the one you have because it's the easiest one to do, disconnect and bypass, you might have one of the older Briggs, and it's super simple too. If you see it on the side coming out like this, now there is not a disconnect for the wire. You will actually have to remove the nut holding it to the side of the block and just let it hang, or make sure that it's not touching metal so it's not grounding out to kill your engine, but just remove it from the oil sensor inside of your engine. If you have a Tecumseh engine, they are actually located on the bottom of the block where you can barely get to it. The wire coming all the way out, if you're in a bind and you need to get going again because you have no spark, you might as well just go ahead and cut the wire on a Tecumseh and tape up your ends and worry about it later. So guys, I don't go full-blown prepper on you in my videos that often, but I am slightly,
prepared for things that, you know, could possibly happen. And I decided to get an extra line of security at my house, and I wanted to just remind y'all of, you know, unless you're living under a rock, things are getting a little crazy here. This is the first summer in Arkansas where we had an entire month of over 100 degrees, and in 10 years. I mean, this happened 10 years, but it's going to happen again in another 10 years or sooner. We don't know, but where we had blackouts from, you know, short power outages from the amount of electricity being used. The power grids can't take it. I know I hear about it in Texas a lot. And the scariest thing is being without a power and not being able to, you know, not just the easy things, TV, computer, stuff like that. We're talking about like your oxygen machine. It was years ago. I was raised by my grandparents, and we were out of power for 5 days and got really, really close to my grandmother, my granny, running out of oxygen. And when you think about it being, you know, 100 degrees outside, no power, can barely breathe anyways, and then you run out of oxygen, that's scary, and you don't want that to happen to you. So I have decided to get a outdoor power station. This is just 1800 watts, but it's just, you know, that little extra security that you might need in case, you know, you run out of gas. I have a 4,000 watt generator that I can, you know, fix all day long. If I let it sit, get it running, it'll power the house. But you know what? It doesn't run if you don't have gas. And these days, you never know what's going to happen anymore. All across the world, it's getting a little crazy. So I decided to invest in a solar power station. It's the brand is Oopus or Oops. I don't know how to say it, but it seems to be really simple to set up. You just plug it up, and it takes about 3.5 hours to fully charge, and it'll give you that little extra line of security in case, you know, your power goes out. So, like I said, guys, I don't like going full-blown prepper on you. I just wanted to let you know about this. So far, I have really liked it. I think, you know, it's going to work well, especially if I want to go camping, something like that. Just, you know, charge the simple stuff, a fan when it's 100 degrees. But so, Oops, on top of having a 2-year warranty and being a great company to deal with, they also are offering $300 off right now. Now, I don't make anything from this. I'm just telling you about it. That way, you know, hopefully you can get that extra line of security for yourself.
So thanks again for tuning in to Chickanic. Hopefully this video saved you time, money, and frustration in the future. If you haven't found us on Facebook yet, find us at facebook.com/Chickanic. Find us at Instagram at The Real Chickanic, or find us at Chickanic.com, where you get your own t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeve shirts. Thanks, and have a great day. You're ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Only cat I've ever met that likes its belly rubbed.